O prego, čakaj, eto. Ajde, tri po tri, ajde.
Radi ste kuleni.
Dobre.
Ajde, kače.
Pomenete ba. Daj, neći krak.
Is it 12 hours?
I think the original one is not that long.
Do you want the energizer to be posted on Instagram?
Of course.
Tag us.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? How did you sleep? Almost, barely. Okay. I hope that everyone got enough. I'm going to say enough rest. So now we begin our. What's up? Less is more. Thank you. We're now starting the second day of our 52nd National Assembly, and I would like to remind a couple of stuff. Please work. Why are you not working? Thank you. I would like to remind you our team. Belizar is responsible and is not here from the Student Council of Varna Free University. Everything that you see over here is thanks to him. Amelia is over here. Thank you. National Board responsible, and the other one, Ivan, over here. You can see him. Also, huge thanks to Sechiu and Ilin for all of their efforts. Thank you. Me as the main chair, Oriana as the minutes taker, and Remus from ESN Barasho as the technical chair. Since we're going to get some votings and
Wasn't really sure which one was the voting one, but yeah, that one.
Yep. Who has the right to do what? Who has the right to vote? All the local representatives of ESN Bulgaria. In a few minutes, we're going to make the roll call, the quorum check, and to be sure that everything is on track. Who can do procedural proposals? Everyone in the room who is present. Who has the right to speak? Everyone. Please use the Slido. The speakers list is already mentioned. You have the Slido and the QR codes in your link tree in the WhatsApp group. Speak only when it's your turn. When you're given the word, state your name and section. Thank you. And also we have the CT, the chairing team has the right to close the speaking list eventually if the session is taking too long. Moving on to reacting, if you were addressed personally, you can react or comment by raising two fingers. This is how it's done. The voting procedure. We have three types of voting: the simple majority, absolute majority, and qualified majority. We're going to have the roll call today. You will see how it works, and also we're going to have a secret voting also today. And just the general remarks. Please, whoever has not signed in their name and signature into the lists from yesterday and today, they're right over here. You can do so in the coffee break. Okay, so over here is day 1, and outside is day 2. Now we have to do the quorum check.
Sorry.
We should make sure that the scrutineers are here and they know what to do.
Yep. We have it in mind. Thank you.
First, the quorum check. ESN Bulgarian University,
Present.
ESN Plovdiv,
Present.
ESN Sofia University,
Present.
ESN Wasek, ESN UNWE,
Present.
ESN University of Ruse,
Present.
ESN Varna.
Present.
Okay, thank you. So quorum check is now done. We're moving to scrutinizers. As it turns out, we need to select two new only one new scrutinizer.
Which one was it?
I'm looking at
Gabi, can you come to me, please?
front also. She should be in front.
Why are we choosing?
Conflict of interests. Let's put it that way, because the other scrutinizer is from the candidate section of ESN Burgas, and we're going to vote on this section today. So, yeah. Who is the other person that wants to be a scrutinizer? Okay, come to me, please. Come to the stage. Now we need to vote on the scrutinizers, I'm going to do a roll call, and the roll call representative is supposed to say yes or no. ESN Bulgarian University.
We agree.
ESN Plovdiv. ESN Sofia University.
Yes.
ESN Wasek.
Yes.
ESN UNWE.
Yes.
ESN University of Russia. ESN Varna.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. With that, our scrutinizers are chosen. Please take your seats now. I'm going to now show you the agenda for today. As you can see, the registration is already done. We're in the opening session of the second day, then following by the GA Thessaloniki voting proposals. We're going to have a expo for the national committees, then we will vote. Within the coffee break, you can take a break basically. Then we're going to reveal what happened, what are the results of the voting. Then we have two more discussions, and we're going to close the NA. Okay, so now we will start with the first presentation for today, and I would like to ask our President Dimitri to come over here.
Hello. Am I going to discuss this? Am I going to be using the other mic or this one is okay? Like the, or I don't mind. This one's okay. This one, okay. Okay. Hello everyone. I hope you feel energized after this lovely dance we had thanks to our C team. You'll need the energy because now we're having a more so serious, let's call it, session, and it is about the GA documents that are going to be voted next week in Thessaloniki. So, as probably most of you know, the president now takes maybe not half, but let's say a third of the responsibilities that fell into the NRS characteristic, and that is specifically the tasks related to the General Assembly. So for those of you who don't know, as we have national assemblies in ESN Bulgaria 3 times a year, which are for the volunteers from the different sections in Bulgaria, we also have international assemblies, so which are called the General Assemblies, or GA for short. Those happen twice a year. The last one was in Sofia. Yes. And the next one, in 1 week, is going to be in Thessaloniki. So during these general assemblies, we vote on certain amendments to the documents, certain applications, etc. Today, I would like to present the documents that are going to be voted next week, so we can discuss them. We would like to have your input, and on Monday morning, hopefully, I will send you the voting proposals via email. So how we, as the national level of ESN Bulgaria, propose to vote for each of these amendments and each of these applications, and you will have somewhat of a short period to react in case you have any objections or comments or questions or doubts, since the actual voting will happen next weekend in Thessaloniki. There are 5 things we need to discuss, and these things have been already communicated with local representatives from each of the sections. So that's 7 sections that have the vote right, and plus 3 others, so plus ESN UCTM and Veliko Tarnovo and Burgas. As I'm hoping that all 3 sections get to vote next during the next NA. Just I need some technical support. In the meantime, how many of you read these documents? Does this mean kind of, or? Okay, 3 people. That's good. Local representatives, no? Okay, so we will have enough things to discuss today. That's good. So, the first proposal is somewhat of an interesting one, maybe slightly controversial. At least in the board, we had a little bit of a discussion about this. The first one is related to the membership requirements from ESN International. So probably most of you know what VIM is. Who knows, especially new people? Someone's Captain? What is VIM?
VIM is Visual Identity Manual.
Visual Identity Manual, yes. Some would call it the Bible of the communication community of ESN. Basically, every section, every local section, every national organization needs to follow these guidelines in all of their communication and visual materials. So we have the same, on one hand, the same, let's say, representation. So everyone knows that we're from the same organization. But on the other hand, also because we need to present ESN in a positive way. Up until now, the screening from ESN International, that I think happens twice a year, the screening of the local sections had some, let's say, some recommendations. Let's say this local section is not following the guidelines well, and contacting the national communication manager, please take measures. But the measures were not, let's say, if they don't follow up, if they don't take care of these mistakes, let's say, they don't end up having the consequences are not very good. Now, what the International Board is proposing are stricter measures about this. So I'd like for you to turn your attention to this point. If it fails to comply with ESN International's corporate identity and values, including bearing the name of the Erasmus Student Network and/or the short version ESN, publicly using ESN's official logotype and upholding a positive image of the association, and does not take corrective action within 30 calendar days after written notification. So, if a section does not follow VIM and ESN International files, let's say, notifies the section, and the section does not take any action to correct itself, then 30 calendar days after the respective first or second warning, if the section has not corrected its failure to comply with ESN International's corporate identity and values, as outlined in the applicable internal documents, including the code of conduct, then after the second and the third warning, ESN International has the right to exclude the local section. So this is the new thing, and this exclusion from ESN can be communicated with the arbitration board, and the section will be able to reapply for full candidacy 90 days afterward. So these are some stricter measures for complying with the visual identity manual. Some would say this is a bit extreme, let's say, because yes, it's important to have a visual identity manual, but is making a mistake that serious that you would get excluded? On the other hand, the visual identity manual is not just a safe space between the star and the, let's say, bottom right corner or whatever. It's also, let's say, not showing pictures of photos on social media of, let's say, drug harassment students or nudity, discrimination, etc. So on that note, I think it's more adequate. But yeah, what do you all think? Does anyone have a comment or a question about this proposal? Yes. Should I give the mic?
Yeah, but you can use also Slido for the question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
At the very end.
Yeah.
Not voting. So we don't discuss each topic and the question.
It's already open.
Oh, it's already open.
Check
Okay.
what's up.
Sorry. Please use Slido for the questions.
We can go from there not to, or not to lose that.
Okay, so we'll be waiting.
But did you
I
understand
think
that
we're
you have
waiting for more
You
questions.
can start like.
Okay, I have a
You can
question.
already start asking your questions, especially related to this proposal about the membership requirements. Is anyone writing in any questions?
So,
We have two questions.
Yes.
First one, Miki is in Sofia University. I want to hear the national science opinion on the matter. Danny?
Very adequate, thank you.
Okay, so as Misho already said, this is not only the safe space of the star and where you actually put the star, because there are mistakes that are very bad and mistakes that are not so bad. If you receive a notification about not following the safe space, like this is something that we are going to ask probably in the national board when we go on GA, what do they consider a great mistake and what they don't consider a great mistake. But there are some sections that literally they change the logo in any way possible. They put actually like what he already also mentioned, like nudity or alcoholism or stuff that is strictly forbidden for us to post online. It is regarding these type of mistakes that a section is going to be punished, let's say, and it is only like, I'm not sure if we've passed through this point, but it's not only like once, if you do this once, but it's like you need to have a few points, like a few times that this happens in a very short period of time.
So there's a first warning issued within 30, there's a first warning issued, and then they have 30 days until the International Board issues a second warning. And then I think after another 30 days, they can expel the section automatically.
Yes, like you have to really like not listen to your national communication manager, in this case me, because I'm going to be the one contacting you, and I have been doing this already for most of the sections if I see that there is a problem, and up until now I've never had problems with any of the sections. I hope it stays like this. But generally, in my opinion, this is not something that you should be worried about unless you have a very rebellious communication manager or something like this. But the mistakes that they're talking about are not so much if you, for example, wrote everything in the Kyoto Sans and Lato, or if you put at least one yes in color. It's really the forbidden stuff that are written specifically in the manual that you should not do. Because there are a lot of gray zones, as we can call them, what is actually ESN visual and what not. This situation is really the very, very bad mistakes, which I think it's important for the sections to know that they have to follow. So that's why I don't think that this is a bad, like it's going to affect the sections in a bad way. It's just that we need to clarify maybe with international about what would they consider actually, like to have some specific guidelines, which mistakes are going to be punished in this situation and which not so much.
Comment and question, Mickey ESN Sofia University. So let's say I'm worried about new sections, like newly established sections that, for example, mistake something, not maybe with alcohol, but with something else that is still really like serious. And I believe this maybe scare them and demotivate them if they were taken their rights off, like after 3 mistakes. And the question I had was either the punishment is like for doing 1 mistake and not correcting it, or in 30 days for another mistake, and then like being punished. Thanks.
More so the first thing that you said. So you make some kind of grading mistake, let's say, and you have 30 days to correct it.
But you also like, you have the, yes, you are notified about a mistake. So even if it was a super bad mistake, you get notified about it, and if you do not take any action. So even if you are a new section and you make a mistake, like it happens all the time. Like a lot of sections have also me. I've also had to delete many times visuals that I posted because there was a very bad mistake that I didn't see or I didn't know about it, and I have deleted it even if I have posted this a few hours ago or sometimes a few days ago. And then you post it again. So you have 30 days to actually do this. Like if the mistake is super bad and you get notified about it, you have 30 days to fix it. Like I don't think that this is something unaccomplishable to do because this is also regarding posts. It's not regarding stories, and also it's not regarding what you send on email to the local members, for example, because they cannot screen it. They screen only what you post officially on social media. So it's not only Instagram, it's Facebook, it's LinkedIn, it's Twitter, it's TikTok, like all the social media platforms, because that's how the screening report works. There is one person from Hong Kong checking each and every country. They have like this very enormously big table with lines for each section and tabs for each platform, and they are marking there with links if there was a mistake, and they put a comment what the mistake is. And also they put a final comment at the end, in general, the situation of the specific section. For example, this section tends to put the logo too much in the corner, maybe they can try to follow a little bit more the safe space or stuff like this. Like this is something that is being sent to all the sections as well. Like it's not only to the national communication manager, we send all the sections, and also this is sent to the local board. So everyone can see this screening report and they can take action.
Christo, ESN Sofia University. As a person who definitely underlines the importance of branding, of visual identity, and this is the thing that makes us recognizable. I do agree to some extent that there needs to be some form of strict regulation for this. I know maybe, however, reading this entire proposition, I maybe would like to ask and open a discussion if there is an adequate way to still make this a strict rule, follow the VIM, but with other regulation mechanisms. Do we have any propositions for other ways to regulate the branding identity?
For the moment, what is written, like I think this was an amendment from last year or something, that you have to follow him. Like this is what it was written, and I think that what they're adding now is like
Very in W in Bulgaria. So just to shed a bit of clarity of the case, in May 2023, I think it was, we voted the GA in Nino that one of the section/NO requirements is for them to follow the corporate identity of ESN. So this is here to stay. And in ESN International, there is a procedure that outlines the sanctions. So like this is a situation, like this is a procedure in which you make a mistake. Okay, that's fine. We acknowledge it and we give you 30 days for you to fix it. If you fix it within that time frame, nothing bad happens. But if you don't, if you fail to do any kind of action, corrective, then you're issued a second warning. And if you're issued the third one, I don't know how exactly this is explained, afterwards you get expelled. But that means that you have not done absolutely anything in a period of 3 months. On that sense.
I have a question, Michi's and Sofia University. It is whether the international board or like COMCOM will reach out directly to the section, or they are going to reach out through you to the section?
I'm not sure, but I'll guess it would be through me, because usually that's what they do, like, we have a, like, sometimes, if COMCOM sees it immediately, they might, I would give it through me, because I think that's how they're being, like, that's what they do with the screening before, they send it, and it is then my job for me to push you, like the national communication manager, to push the section to take action regarding those actions. Like, also, maybe some of you know, like I think last week or a few weeks ago, I decided to check on, I think all of the Instagram pages and all the sections to check their old posts if there are like some bad mistakes. There were some sections that had very bad ones, because I guess the person in charge had zero idea about what they should do with the logo and stuff. And I decided, okay, I checked the section, I'm going to check all of them. Most of the problems were not so great or stuff, but you know, or you can ask your local communication manager what I told them. Like, this is a bad mistake, you have to delete this. This is not so bad mistake, you can choose if you want to delete this or not, because it was also old post. But usually the screening report works in the same way. COMCOM is going to send me in the sections, what are the problems? I tell you, then you take it. And also, that's what I was going to be sure, you have 2 warnings. First one, 30 days, second one, again 30 days. So in total, you could say that you have 2 months time to fix the mistake. It's better to do it on the first time, not to have 2 strikes and stuff, but it doesn't take that much action to just delete the post.
Oriana is in Romania. Since you are going with this discussion, there is still on Slido from your ESN Varna. It looks like it's written for some specific sections or sections in mind. I just want to say that these are the regulations of ESN International. ESN International has 46 national organizations and like 500 sections. This is for everyone. It's not just with the section in mind.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I think it sounds like it was triggered by some specific cases, like some sections, and they decided to put stricter measures because someone really did it in a bad way.
What I would say that regarding also what Neil was explaining earlier is that we already have that amendment, and this is a section requirement to membership requirement to exist to follow him. What they're doing now is they're actually seeing what are going to be the actions that you consider that you no longer have this requirement. So they just put the specific guidelines. That's okay. You don't follow him, but what happens after that? Like, how do you understand that you don't follow him? So right now they're just putting this more specifically, because that's what we usually do in ESN. We introduce a new amendment, a new rule, let's say, and then we're adding more details about how is this whole situation going to happen.
Mikhail Faskov, ESN Sofia University. I would just like to make a general statement that when you have these rules, if there are no sanctions, no one will follow them. This is a way of thinking, and I'm saying it for newer members, that it's one thing to say there are some VIM rules, but you are allowed not to follow them. It's fine. No, nothing will happen. And it's another thing to say there are VIM rules, and if you don't follow them, you can get expelled. So people get motivation to follow the rules, and it applies to all fields in ESN, in law, etc. Are there any law students here? Yes, I know you. Okay, thank you.
many ESN in ESN Bulgaria, just to follow up on what Misha said, and to highlight what Oriana mentioned, we have 45 countries and more than 500 sections, and imagine having one team of, let's say, around 10 people, having to cover for the entire network. If there are no rules, and therefore if you are lacking to abide by the sanctions, consequently, how is this whole network going to function properly in the first place?
Well, thank you for your input. I think there are no more questions or comments about this amendment. Yes. Yes. Okay. So we have four more. Don't worry. So the second one is let's say a package of suggestions, and it's about the events policy paper. Okay. So the first amendment is regarding the OC of certain events. So the organizing committee of okay, so as you probably know, there are national events and there are international events. International events that are, let's say, internal, so for the volunteers of ESN. In Bulgaria, we hosted two of them this year, so the General Assembly in Sofia and the Social Impact and Youth Engagement training in Varna, which happened in September. What was different for the second one is that that was an event that had a grant from the European Commission, if I'm not mistaken. So, in the case that an international event is part of a grant project involving one or more national organizations, the OC shall be appointed by the board, the international board, an exception to the election procedures outlined below, so all of the normal ones that existed beforehand. The OC is still required to submit an official application along with the proposed budget for the event to the board for approval. So basically, this gives the international board more flexibility, and that these events are going to happen. They choose a national organization, and the national organization comes with an OC, an organizing committee, but the organizing committee still needs to pass through all of the steps that are, let's say, a normal open call happens. So they need an application, they need a budget for the board to approve. So that's the first proposal in the events policy paper. Can you scroll down? Okay. The second change is regarding the voting for the general assemblies. So like the one that is going to happen in this sort of week next week, and EGM, the Erasmus Generation Meeting. So these bigger international events. So the first change is how that is going to be voted. Up until now, the vote was always a simple majority needed for an OC to be elected. So does anyone know what the difference between a simple and a relative majority is? So basically a simple majority is more than half, more than 50%. Up until now, an OC needed at least 50% of the votes in order to be elected. A relative majority simply means the candidacy with the most votes. Put in practice, if we have three candidacy, let's say three candidacies for organizing the GA, let's say, up until now, at least one of them had to have at least 50% of the votes to be elected. Now, if the three have, let's say, 40%, 30%, and 30% respectively, the one with 40% will still get elected because it has a relative majority, even though it's not at least half of the votes. So this is something that I think the International Board does to secure that there will always be an OC elected for these important events like the General Assembly and the Erasmus Generation Meeting. So this is, I would say, one of the most important changes. Here we have just cosmetic changes, that everything needs to follow the internal rules, not the standing orders and statutes. And the most important one, I hope you're paying attention, scroll down, or the regional platforms. They are now in alphabetical order, the countries in each platform. So that is the package of changes for this document. So that means the alphabetical order, the voting, and the international board being able to select a no to organize an event, which would then cast no seat. If you have any questions about any of these changes from the second document, please add them to Slido. Okay, so I guess I'll move on to the next topic because we don't have a lot of time. We have 15 minutes for this session, and we still have 3 more topics. And in case you have any questions or comments, please just add them to Slido as they come, and then at the end maybe you can address everything. So, General Assembly. As you heard, this is an event that happens twice a year. I would say the most important event of our network because this is where we vote for stuff and change and shape the network and how we work. And it is us, the volunteers, the NOs that get to choose, get to approve the.
It's time.
Not the alarm, but
It is.
it's kind of funny because my parents have a chicken farm, so this is kind of PTSD for me. But okay, so we get to elect the next organizing committee for the General Assembly. So we already have an LC for the next one, which is going to be in Thessaloniki. I don't know if you heard. And the next one in spring is going to be in Dubrovnik. So that's already elected. And now we're talking about the fall of 2025. We have only one candidacy actually for an OC, and that's from ESN Poland and ESN Wrocław. And just really quickly mentioning it because there's no other candidacy. So I don't know if it gets rejected, there needs to be an extraordinary open call, an extraordinary GA. For those of you who already had the chance, I mean, you had the chance, but did you actually look at the candidacy? I don't know. But if you have read it through it, I think you would also notice that there's nothing very, nothing wrong with it. The participation fee is adequate. I think it was 160 euros. This does include accommodation for the whole event. So that's very good with the food and everything. We'll see in a bit that this is not always the case. And the OC is experienced, the candidate OC. And something revolutionary, the GA is not going to be in the Balkans. So this is also very interesting, yes. Yes, as we see, the head of the OC has been in the OC of other international events, like the Erasmus Games, that were also in Wrocław. So, yes, OC of the Baltic Sea, so they're experienced. I really see no problem with this candidacy. And I think since we don't have a lot of time, you do have it in the ESN wiki in case you want to read through it in more details. And in case you have any particular questions about this, add them to Slido. I think we can move on to the more spicy one. If there is a question, I don't mind. Okay, give me the question. Is it from Miki?
Yes.
I'm so surprised. I'm shocked. Are we doing the question?
We have ESN Sofia University. Compared to GA Thessaloniki and GA Dubrovnik, has the price increased?
No. So for GA Sofia, we offered the seductive price of 155 euros participation fee. And from then on, GA Thessaloniki and GA Dubrovnik are 160 euros. One of them could have been 155, I'm not sure. But it's not more than 5 euros of a price increase compared to the previous GA.
But GA Sofia was €5 reduction.
Yes. GA Sofia was 155 euros, just as a comparison. Okay, EGM. So, does anyone know what EGM is? New ones, new volunteers. It was explained yesterday, so if you don't know, then it's shame on you. Yes, Kathy, please tell me, tell us.
Stands for Erasmus Generation.
Wonderful, Erasmus Generation meeting, thank you. And the next, this is an annual event, type of a conference, the biggest one organized by ESN and the biggest student organized conference in Europe. Huge event, more than 1,000 people, and we are voting a year and a half in advance for the next hosting. So the next EGM is going to take place in 2025 in Ancona. We have our national delegate, Niki, whom we all chose yesterday, yes. So that's already settled. Now we're talking about EGM in 2026 in Toulouse. So this is the candidacy from ESN France and ESN Toulouse. I highly recommend that you open ESN Wiki in your free time and read through the application, read through the feedback from ESN International. It's a passionate read. Yes, it's thrilling. But a few things I would highlight from this candidacy, if you could please scroll down. The participation fee is something interesting. First of all, Toulouse. Does anyone know where Toulouse is? No direct flights from Bulgaria, so from our point of view, we would need to take a flight through Milan, through Barcelona. No way we can get to Toulouse. For the ones from Varna, I don't know. 3 flights maybe. So it's harder to reach. So that's a bit of it's a bummer, yeah. So that's one thing. Moving on, the participation fee is very, it fluctuates, yes. So the proposed fee is 135 euros, but the worst case scenario is 170 euros, which I'm no finance guy, but I think that's quite the, it's quite the difference, yes, between the two fees. Which also, for the record, the EGM fee is rising rapidly with pretty much each edition. How much is it for Ancona? I think 140.
160 for Ancona.
160 euros for EGM Ancona. So, and no accommodation.
Please sign up until tomorrow. Please sign up until
But do sign up. Because it's a great event. It's very interesting. It's just that it's expensive. It's there's no accommodation in the 160 euros. So that's why I highlighted that in the Wrocław. So that's why I highlighted that for the GA Wrocław application at 140 euros, but with the accommodation. A lot better, yes. So this is without the accommodation again. Moving on, we have a huge file. So they describe the OC, they describe, they have the agenda, an example of the agenda. They have all of the partnerships that they want to include, including with the SNCF, which is the French PDG, basically. And which would be interesting, but what's interesting about this candidacy is that a lot of the things are subject to change, no verbal agreement, etc. So it's a bit floating. Then again, it is an event that will happen in a year and a half. So yeah, I don't know. I can mention the GA app and the questions. Okay, I'm gonna mention because I found it interesting. So the thing is that there's a GA app where all of the volunteers can ask questions about the. All questions about the candidacy, the amendments, etc. And oh no, this was not it. Sorry. We got an email from the GA chairing team. Yes, so we have a representative here, Nelly, with a few countries, ESN countries, that lost their right to vote. Among others, ESN France. The reason? Financial, not paying some money to ESN International, not fulfilling the financial responsibilities.
Which is ironic.
It's a bit ironic because they are applying to host an event that if you open the budget, they will be operating, they are planning to operate with sums between 200 and 300,000 euros. Because it's an event for 1,300 people, more or less, and a participation fee of worst case scenario 170 euros. So, can we have an expert opinion from our financial manager?
Also, and objectively speaking, the
Worst case scenario, Joko ESN International.
objectively speaking, the worst case scenario is not always the actual scenario. It might be even worse than the worst case scenario. It has actually happened. In one event, they said the optimal scenario is 110 euros. The worst case scenario is 130 euros, and then the event was 160. So who knows?
Wasn't there also maximum participation fee that is other than 160?
I'll be talking to myself about the GA amendments. It's like talking to myself. Yes, so same thing. Yes. So this is, I think, the biggest, how to say, concerns that we might have about this candidacy. Then again, there is no other candidacy to host the next Erasmus Generation meeting in 2026. So our, yes, wonderful venues, you see pictures. I don't know which of them are confirmed officially. So, we have two questions. Yes, so in conclusion, if we don't vote yes for this candidacy, I imagine there needs to be an extraordinary open call for the, I mean, not if we, but like every country. Please, what are the questions?
No, give her a mic. There's like 3 questions.
She, I wonder who she is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 2, but you wrote it as a message.
Because there was no characters.
Can you read the question? I don't know what's happening.
But do you want to speak?
Do you want to elaborate on your question or not?
Like, it's better if you say them out loud since.
I don't have a voice.
Okay,
Italia University. Is there any reason for switching the dates from early April to end of March, and will it have effect on other international events?
Which other international events? For technically, the dates for us as ESN Bulgaria would be, I think, even better because right now April is a bit chaotic. because there's our own National Assembly that happens during that time. Sometimes the General Assembly also coincides and is, let's say, the week after or in 2 weeks. So sometimes we have 1 month with 3 weekends with ESN events like right now. So it can be a little bit challenging, but on the other hand, and also Easter in Bulgaria, I don't know. But I would say no problem with that. VOC just maybe it's something with the venues.
Mikhail Paskov and University. Can you show the dates once more, please? Because just an interesting fact, the 12th of April 2026 is Easter both for Orthodox and Catholic churches. I'm just saying, so I checked it. I checked it. I checked, no, it's not
2026.
Please. If they're not only always 1 week apart, sometimes they call, the Mishos using their voice. So this sometimes coincides, sometimes they have a week of difference. So it's the 12th of April. Just keep it in mind when you go into Thessaloniki, because it will be very unreasonable. We will become more than a family. Okay, good.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen from Bulgaria, I am just checking the dates. According to EPP, the Response Paper Case International, it can be either on the last weekend of March or one of the first 3 weeks of April. So on that we're good. Just give you an answer here. When it comes to the because like EGM is usually a bit problematic regarding Easter dates. I just checked the Catholic dates. It will be April 5th in 2026. And the Orthodox Easter will be on the 12th. If the second dates are chosen, that might be a bit problematic for us and other Orthodox countries. Just saying.
Yes. No, it's not going. So there were 4 days one and one is 5 days.
Like basically they have
So we have a second question from Michaela, ESN Sofia University. Are they applying for any grants, or what is the financial situation for eventual reducement or staying in the lower suggested price? If Joko can add on. They are applying for several grants, a lot of them not. I don't know what else to add on this.
Question, comment, slash, because doesn't it happen every year kind of that the country that is applying for EGM, or like if there are a couple of them, that they have some possibilities of grant, but they understand if they're going to have it or not kind of at least a few months later. Like for example, what happened, I think last year with Sweden, yes, and every year it happens that some countries says, well,
That is true.
but are they confirmed?
Not all of them. For example, we have, I can't read to the end of the comment. They gave us positive feedback, awaiting confirmation for the amount granted. They have always supported us, great relationship. So, ongoing discussions, partnership agreement to be signed soon.
French agreements.
Agreement, yes. So, I hope that answers your question. It's a little bit fuzzy, I guess. Okay, so I think that's covered. We don't have a lot of time. So, moving on, yes. Dara, ESN, NBU, if we don't agree, how spicy one here. If we don't agree on the candidacy of ESN Toulouse, will it be possible for ESN Bulgaria to host EGM? So, in theory, yes. In practice, no.
If ESN Romania applied after
Yeah, so
OC resigned, you can do it.
So, the thing is, EGM is huge. Have you been to EGM? Well, it's very good to be ambitious. So this is my personal opinion. This is my personal opinion here. Yeah. So yes, we can apply to host the Erasmus Generation meeting in Bulgaria, in Sofia. Let's be real. Less, yes. The thing is, as of now, I personally don't think we have the resources to host an event of that scale. On the one hand, so it's 1,200, 300 people. We need huge venues for this. Actually, a fun fact for the very first Erasmus Generation meeting that was in 2022, that was held in Porto. There were two candidacy for EGM Porto and EGM Sofia. And EGM Porto got elected.
It's amazing. Yeah.
It's amazing because thanks to that, we are still here. It's just that it's a huge event, a lot of money that you need to over the joke, or the next joke will have to operate with for that candidacy. We need huge events. We need a lot of volunteers. So in EGM Bucharest, which may be the best one so far, I'm just saying, they had like 100 volunteers. I don't know how many, like so many. Almost as many as the participants. No, not that many, but really so many volunteers that at any given point, you just turn around, there's a volunteer to help you. Yes, Remos,
I can have a comment regarding this, because even though you'll have registered 100, 200 volunteers for it, you won't have that amount of volunteers attending the event. For us, this happened, and we were only a quarter of the volunteers that were supposed to do the entire event. And trust me, it's very exhausting to do it.
It's very exhausting, and this could be a discussion if, for example, we have some motivated volunteers that want to be the organizing committee of the Erasmus Generation meeting. But the other thing is also, what will we, as a network, gain from this? Silence. I don't really, because it's a huge conference. Yes, there is going to be visibility, but for our network, even I think organizing these two smaller events, the General Assembly in Sofia and the social entertainment engagement, was a bit straining on our network. We managed, and I think very well, but we can focus on these events for now, in my opinion. Then again, if someone wants to organize the EGM, they can apply, and the national board needs to approve the application. So yes, I think there are no more questions here. Yes. So if the network, all the networks, end up not choosing, not approving of ESN Toulouse's application, I think there's going to be an extraordinary open call, and I think that's why also we're voting on this a year and a half in advance to have this buffer zone, because I don't know if you know, but EGM Bucharest was organized in only how many?
In 4 months.
I think even 3 months. Yes. So to avoid the stress, I think we're doing it a year and a half in advance. So moving on to the final thing, a light topic. Yes, very, very nice. Khazar International Club. So we have an application for a new section in ESN Azerbaijan. Currently, ESN Azerbaijan is one of the few one section national organizations. Thank you. Like, let's say, Cyprus, Armenia, Jordan. There's a couple of those where you have the national organization, but only one section in the country. So for these countries, they need, whenever they want to establish a second section, this still needs to be voted by the whole network until they become self-sufficient, let's say, that they can vote for new sections on their own, like we do for ESN Burgas. I'm saying very light topic because we have a club in the University of Kazan in Baku that wants to be renamed from Kazan International Club to ESN Kazan. Yes. They have already a lot of volunteers. I think it was 22 volunteers and a local board. And they have positions. And please, to your attention, they have in their boards copywriters, language exchange team responsible. Positions that I have never heard before in ESN, so they're very, they have a person for everything, yes. Event manager, that's classic. Buddy coordinator, okay, very good. Business and finance coordinators, yes. 2, yes. And a treasurer on top of that. We have events, we have graphic designers, yes. A few copywriters. It's like, at the end of a movie when you see all of the people responsible. We have buddies, yes. So actually, we're a language exchange team. Wonderful, wonderful. Number of volunteers, 18. Number of buddies, 4. 22 in total. So, to be honest, I personally found this candidacy very good, very strong. So, and also, why not? So if you have any questions about ESN Kazak's application, please add them to Slido. And this is also the final thing I need to present to you during this session. Miki, Slido. Okay. I know.
Okay, we have our first question from Radostin from ESN UNWE.
Yes, good morning, Roger. We have.
If they join, wouldn't that make the SEEP region overpacked, and will there be a reshape of the SEEP region if they join?
Very good question. The SEEP region is already overpacked. So one section more, one section less. Does that mean we don't need to approve of ESN Burgas's candidacy? Just asking. No. So the thing is that the SEEP region needs to be reshaped anyway. So, and okay, this is maybe controversial, but a lot of you were in the session in Burgas, where Houston talked about this exact reshaping, so collecting ideas. Because as he mentioned, every new ESN country from now on is probably going to be kind of in that region in the Middle East, let's say, Northern Africa, maybe the Middle Asia, is that what it's called in English? So Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, like that. Central Asia, thank you. So at one point there is going to need to be, reshape of the region. Anyway, so in my opinion, that's not a strong enough argument to vote against. Please add.
Yeah, many years of here that we use in Bulgaria. I understand your. Is it on? Somewhere. Okay. So I understand your question. The thing is that we already have ESN Azerbaijan existing as an NO, and adding an additional country, like an additional section, is in this way. Like, for example, if we vote ESN Varna to join, we don't have to vote it at the GA because we're already an established NO. But since ESN Azerbaijan is still under the umbrella of the membership team, and it's a small NO, they still need to have their new sections being voted at the GA. So in that case, we already have the NO existing, and it's more of a, how should I call it, like, consider if it's better for the organization to have more engaged volunteers and that spread the ESN values across the world, or not?
Yes, and I guess maybe the only concern would be if we have more and more sections in C, that would mean more and more volunteers. So the platform being for more and more people, I guess that could be a concern. But yes, okay. That's Rado. Is someone reading it officially?
Michaela is in Sofia University. What about ESN Iceland's candidate section case? Do you want to elaborate a bit more on the question?
Wonderful, yes.
Okay, yes, maybe it's in the like Bulgaria, slash international in that case, yeah. So when it comes to ESN Iceland, they are currently working with the membership team. No details have been disclosed so far, but it is kind of, I mean, the forecast is for them to apply hopefully at the next GA.
Okay. One final one.
Okay. Chris is in Sofia University. With the expansion of the sections in C, we discussed the rearrangement of the regional platforms. Is it still a topic for GA Thessaloniki? Was this covered, or you want some clarification?
Actually, I want to have some clarification.
Sure.
First of all, sorry, I literally wrote the question seconds after Rado made his question, so more of it just...
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, then again, I remember that in the last NA we discussed the rearrangement of the regional platforms, and I was wondering if this will occur as a topic at the next next weekend's meeting in Thessaloniki.
So this is a work in progress, reshaping the regional platforms, and I would say specifically C, because that's the one that's expanding and would at some point need to split in some way. And it's not, we don't have a deadline for this, so I don't think it's going to be discussed in this one specifically. Like the reshaping of the platform, it's not yet on the table. Like we're discussing it for maybe within a year or two. We're anticipating it. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. That's all I wanted to know. If there's going to be needed a working group in order to discuss
Not
this.
yet.
Not yet. Yes.
Not yet. No, this would be a huge thing. It would need for us to vote for it. Yes. So yeah. I did expect so many questions about ESN Kazakh, but wonderful. Yes. So
yeah. Joko is in Bulgaria. So that is the reshaping. It's very crucial to think about it in terms of countries. So this is just one section or another section, which the main concern is geographically, if it expands too much, if at some point it makes sense to make it different, for example, Asian platform. But as you can see, for many countries, like the question with Iceland, they've been a candidate section for pretty much 1 year now. Since, I mean, they became a candidate section in, what is it, in Ankara? Yeah? No, it was in
Iceland in Ankara.
Yeah, it was in Ankara, but whatever. The point is, it takes 1 year to become a candidate section, and maybe more, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So it takes a long time to change it, to add countries. But that with the additional sections within the country, that doesn't change too much the structure of the votings. It adds maybe 0.1% to each country. So the CIP region will get 0.1% stronger than whatever. So, and the rest of the regions will divide that. So they will drop by 0.03%, to 5%. So it's very negligible. That one section or two sections join doesn't matter too much. The thing is, with the countries, it's just maybe at some point it might become a very relevant issue, and this is why they were talking about it. But for the moment, it's not.
Seniors at UNW. So it's not only for the voting. It's a whole different topic because we were talking about EGM, how many people are going, and the price is going up. If this is happening in SIP, like many countries going, it will be even harder to make SIP and the price going up again, and it will be the same problem.
The thing is that it really depends. For example, for SIP now in Nicosia, they had a huge grant support from their institutional partners, and even though SIP is the biggest region, they offered an €80 participation fee. And also, let's be real, these countries that are adding are ones that don't have such as high of a standard of living. So like if we host SIP in like more and more countries in this region, it's probably not gonna go up as much.
And also, like, another section in the country means plus one spot. And if in this situation, it's a country that has only one section and we want to add another one. But also, as Michel mentioned earlier, right now we're going to vote for the candidate section for gas. We've been talking about opening, for example, a section in technical university, medical university. Would that mean that we should also stop encouraging the sections in SIP to establish new sections? I mean, it's just a few spots more.
Okay, I think that's it. Yes, closing the session. Thank you for your attention, and with all of your comments and concerns and doubts. Tomorrow you will receive an email from me after in the National we also discussed this with voting proposals. So for each of these amendments and applications, we will say ESN Bulgaria plans to vote like so, and you will have 2 or 3 days to object to this if you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the session. Now, according to the agenda, comes up a open space. Here comes the expo, basically, of the national committees. So we're going to have create, educate, and network care team in the 3 basic corners of the room. Amelia with network care team is going to be here. Dimisho with educate is going to be on my left, your right. And Danny is going to be all the way up over there. So you can go around, this is an open space, ask them questions, what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and so on and so on. And eventually join the committee. And we have a clarification.
And also, the committees are currently recruiting our work groups. Basically, if you're an active member, you can join them. You don't need to be in position. You can just join them. Be in work groups. So they're going to explain exactly this was the plans, what we're going to do, what we've done. So very interesting things, very fun things. And it's currently recruiting until 25th of November, Monday. So you have around a week to think after this. So please join them, talk, and learn.
One more thing, this is not a break. So please first go around and then go for coaching.
Educate is something else.
Attention, I'm sorry, guys. the session is supposed to be until 11:30. So 11:30, please be on time, especially the both delegators.
So education community, network community.
And Comcom.
So,
Pitch, that's pitch.
period. So, it's me and Ganshu.
Hey guys, so don't sit on the benches, don't chill. This is not a chill moment, it's not a break. Go in the free corners. Don't sit, just do not or do nothing.
Did you cut it? Did you cut it?
Okay, so this is a bit of a construction. It stopped.
No. No.
Okay.